Hey YouTube friend, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And you can see by the mess behind me, I'm right in the middle of a water change. And contrary to what I discussed in my last water change video, I'm actually testing out a theory, testing out a suggestion that was made by one of you in the Convo Gang. Convo Gang. I can't say that without laughing. But hit that bell and hit the bell down below and become part of that Convo Gang. I love the discussions that go on down there. And one of you made a suggestion that sounded sensible. And so I decided to go ahead and try the theory out. So if all my fish die, I want you to know that I made the sacrifice for you, the viewer. I doubt all the fish are going to die. But some of you said you actually do water changes all the way down to the dorsal fin of the fish. That's maybe a little extreme, but this is a large water change. This is probably maybe even as much as a 75 to 80% water change, not just because of what you see behind me here, but also because I've emptied the sump. The sump water level has been brought down to next to nothing. So between the sump being drained and this here, we have a very large water change. But the suggestion that you made was that that when you must do a water change, which kind of worked out because of the 4th of July holiday, I was away, and so I missed a week. So this is 2 weeks between water changes, 1 week longer than normal for me. I decided to go ahead and test out this theory. So I've gone ahead and reduced the water level considerably. I will go ahead and treat for the entire volume of the tank, taking into account that decor, of course, displaces some of the water, but I also have a sump. So I'll probably treat for 150 gallons, maybe 160, maybe a little more. But bottom line is I'm going to use the suggestion made by one of you, and that is that when you need to do a significant or extra large water change, to go ahead and introduce the new water slowly. Now, of course, the disadvantage to that is that filling up a tank this size is going to take a considerable amount of time. I mean, it's not going to be something that's going to be rushed. So it would be easy to get distracted, go do something, start answering some emails or something and forget about it. And next thing you know, you have a flood. So I'm going to be very diligent and stay very close and keep an eye on it. But I'm going to fill it up with a trickle. And not even a trickle, just a little bit more than a trickle, but a lot slower than the very fast rate that I would normally fill the tank up. And let's see if that results in the fish not shimmying and flashing and getting all crazy because of the shifts in things like pH and possibly even temperature. Even though I do temperature match when I add the water, and just a bit of advice, periodically when you're filling a tank, check the temperature, make sure it's still coming through at the right amount. Sometimes hot water can take a little while to get as hot as it can get, and sometimes other people in the house can start to use water and change the temperature of the water that you're introducing into your tank. Just a tip, something to keep an eye on. So let's go ahead and fill this thing back up, and then let's take a look at the fish and see how they do. The tank is almost filled, and I'm not seeing any of the indications or signs that I would see normally after doing a large water change. I'm not seeing rubbing against rocks and signs of irritation, like maybe the water, the pH shift or something of that nature is causing some kind of minor distress. I'm not seeing any of that. I am seeing a little bit of the usual mating dance or assertion that occurs after a water change. Sometimes the Venusis and the Fusco will pair up and go through a little bit of that mating dance motion after a water change. And of course, there are a lot of theories about that, but they're discussed in a different video. But I'm not seeing any signs of distress at all. And
I think overall, this idea of when you need to do a large water change, you should trickle it in, is a good idea. And when I need to do that, when I want to go ahead and let's say after treating the tank, or if I notice a slight elevation in nitrates, I am going to go ahead and use that technique. Here we are with a completed water change, and you can see everybody's looking good. And I saw zero of the normal signs I would get after a large water change previously. So I would say overall, this experiment has proved the theory, and I'm going to consider it a success. And I am going to suggest to anybody who is doing a very large water change to introduce the water a bit slowly, and it will not necessarily not kill your fish, because those large water changes were not killing my fish, but they were creating unnecessary irritation as displayed with the rubbing against rocks, rubbing against the substrate, and not seeing that tells me that it's just a more pleasant experience for the fish, and that's always important. Thank you for tuning in.